Hello folks, Everchanger here, and welcome back to more Pokemon Blaze Black 2. Last time, we explored the lowest floors of the Relic Castle, and we had an encounter with Volcarona, which we promptly caught, which was super awesome. That's about all that has to be said. Anyway, this time, we are going to be heading out. Is there anything secret up here? Darn. We are going to be heading out to the next route. But we're probably not going to be exploring it this episode. There is a reason for that. Unless... See, I was under the impression we were going to be getting something at the beginning of the route, but it's possible we might be getting it at the end of the route instead, which is a little... disappointing. We'll know it when we get to it, and wow, Dunsparce. I'm pretty sure we already have this. Yes, we do. Sad, because that's probably like a 5% encounter rate or something on that route, so... Guess we're going to have to throw that one out. But yeah, I'm a little bit rusty on exactly how this part of the game progresses, so we might be waiting until next episode to do that thing that I was thinking about doing. And of course, right up here we have a Pokemon breeder. Like all the other ones, she will fight you every time you reload the map of Route 6. So if you need to train, there are way, way better ways to do it in this hack, but I mean, it's here, I suppose. Here we have a Pokemon I do not believe we've seen before. This is Deerling. It is a normal grass type, which is very interesting. And its appearance changes based on the season. A mechanic that is really neat that they introduced in Generation 5 and then immediately threw out to the curb in Generation 6. Every single Deerling you encounter in X and Y onwards, unless of course they bring back seasons at some point, will be locked to its spring form with no way to change it. Meaning the only way to get the other forms of Deerling in Generation 6 is to transfer them from Generation 5, which is really disappointing, to be honest. I was hoping they would at least add in some sort of item to allow you to change the form, but I guess not, which is really odd. Anyway, it looks like this guy's pulling out some grass types, including Grottle, which is the middle form of the grass starter in the Sinnoh region, which is really neat. And of course, it appears to be jacking up its defense, which means I'm going to have to hit it one more time with my strength, which isn't too terrible. But anyway, I might as well explain what I thought we were going to be getting at the beginning of this route, since we're going to be getting it next episode anyway. We are incredibly close to getting a hold of the HM for Surf. And my plan is, I suppose, next episode at this rate, is to go back to previous areas that we've already explored to check out what we can now get once we get Surf. I assumed we got that at the beginning of the route, which means I was planning for that to be this episode, but I guess we're just gonna transpose these episodes a bit, because I was expecting Route 6 exploration to be next episode. You guys get what I'm saying. Anyway, down goes the Pokemon breeder. Very nice. Alrighty, progressing onwards here, we have yet another trainer, but not before we get a wild encounter, obviously. Here we have Bonsly, which we also already have, which is surprising. The thing is, we're so far into the game, we're going to start seeing repeat encounters, which is by no means a bad thing. Also, there was a hidden item over there, I knew it. Oh well, we'll probably come back and get it sometime later. Anyhow, Parasol Lady. Now, I'll be honest here, we're coming up on probably my least favorite part of the game. Not to be a bit of a Debbie Downer or anything like that, but this little stretch between the end of Driftvale and the end of the next gym town, I don't know, it feels like the game sort of starts to drag at this point. But I have a good reason for that, and that reason is that this particular part of the plot is almost exactly copied from Pokemon Black and White 1, save for a Team Plasma attack, which does not occur in the sequel, but other than that, you go through the exact same motions at this part in the game. There is almost no difference. You navigate the same areas, in the same order, you fight the same trainers. It's a little bit disappointing, to be honest, because I feel like they could have had some interesting things added to this part of the game, because they added stuff to pretty much every other part of the game, or changed it altogether. But this part is pretty much identical to what it was in the original Black and White, which I find really odd and disappointing. It's probably my biggest complaint with the game is right here around the halfway point, the game just sort of feels like it's just been copied, which is disappointing, but I guess we're just gonna have to deal with it for the time being. Which isn't too terrible, to be honest, because Black and White are very good games. It just feels like they got a little bit lazy with this part. So hopefully we can keep it a little bit interesting, because we've got to get through this little bit to get through to the last, I'd say, third of the game, because I feel like the last third of Black and White 2 is where the game really, really shines. They change around a ton of stuff once we get past gym number 6. I'm really excited to get to all that stuff, because it's going to be a really exciting time, trust me. So we just got to sort of get through this next little phase of the game, and then that's where the stuff really starts to happen. It's going to get real exciting, and I'm really excited for it. Anyway, I did not mean to use Feint Attack there. Hopefully we'll KO it anyway, although I doubt it. Yeah, it didn't happen. And of course I paid for my misclick with a Poison Powder, which is really disappointing. Ah well. Anyhow, as you can see, it is almost midnight again. And even though I am on break, there is a good-ish reason for this. And I'm going to go on a total tangent, but considering that this part of the game is mainly just going through the motions fighting trainers, I don't think that's anything we in particular have to worry about. New Pokemon here, which isn't so new actually, because we already have this one as well. I was going to record this episode over 2 hours ago, but I kind of got distracted, and I would really like to see if anyone who happens across this video knows what it is I'm talking about. Back in 2004, which was, oh my god, almost 12 years ago at this point, which is insane, there was this French animated television show called Code Lyoko that aired on Cartoon Network. And I was a huge, huge fan of this show. And I was such a fan of this show that I bought all 97 episodes of the series on iTunes back when they released them back in, I'd say 2010? And unfortunately, back then, I didn't have my own iTunes account, so I had to use my dad's iTunes account. Which means now that I have my own iTunes account, and I've changed like 3 computers in between then and now, I can no longer easily play this content that I myself paid for, unless I link my dad's iTunes account to my computer in addition to my own, which can be really frustrating because he would have to input his own password, which obviously he wouldn't want to tell me because that wouldn't be very secure. But I figured, hey, I might as well at least do a little bit of research into this. So I go onto iTunes to check that the series is still there. And surprisingly enough, it's not. It has been completely nuked from the iTunes storefront. I assume the reason why this is because early last year, in the January of, I want to say 2014, it might have actually been this year, but I'm pretty sure it was 2014, the company that produced Code Lyoko actually went completely under and had to sell all of its IPs. Which means Code Lyoko's IP was sold to another company whose name escapes me at the moment. but I feel like as a result of this licensing change, the entire series had to be removed from iTunes. Now, I'm pretty sure that if I were to log into my dad's iTunes account, I would still be able to re-download past purchases. I believe that's how it works. If not, that'd be pretty tragic. But at this point, I'm like, I'd rather not even try. So I went onto YouTube to see if someone had actually uploaded the episodes onto YouTube, which, you know, that's what people generally do when they want to watch a TV show. They check YouTube. And surprisingly enough, I found a channel that has all 97 episodes of the series in probably the best quality you can find them these days on the channel. And I'm like, oh man, this can't be very good. But I go onto the channel and look at their uploads, and they're of as best quality they can be. They're in 480p, which is the highest definition the show is available in, since HD wasn't really a thing at that point when it was being created. And oddly enough, it seems that this apparently unaffiliated YouTube channel is backed by the new owners of the Code Lyoko IP, because the episodes have been there on this channel for about a year at this point. And, oh, this is a new mechanic. These Pokeballs in the grass might not be Pokeballs, they might be fungus. It's basically the replacement for Voltorb in this generation, but of course, once you've encountered it, you can either just run or knock it out and they won't appear anymore. But anyway, as I was saying, it appears that this apparently unaffiliated YouTube channel is backed by the new owners of the Code Lyoko IP, because each episode has an insert card up in the upper right corner directing people to the official Code Lyoko channel on YouTube on it, which is in the very slow process of uploading each episode for themselves, but it appears to be the exact same quality or thereabouts. So I've decided I really don't want to, this is what I was thinking of. I really don't want to go through the whole iTunes shuffle, because I already paid for all these episodes. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to take an evening sometime this week and download all the episodes to my computer and rewatch the whole series for a big nostalgia show, because I don't know about you guys, but Code Lyoko is one of those cult following shows, and people that are fans of it are really fans of it, and I'm no exception. So sound off in the comments your thoughts on this show, your experiences with this show, because I really enjoy it. I know it's a completely unrelated tangent to what I'm actually doing on screen, but I'm really legitimately curious. But anyway, that aside, right here... Oh, David, can you come with me for a moment? No one really talks about it, but the record shows that there was a sudden drop in temperature near Lacunosa town. Interesting. Foreshadowing? It was only for a moment, but it went down to as low as negative 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Not only that, but similar temperatures were recorded around Castelia City and Driftvale City. That sounds suspicious. What have we seen in both of those cities thus far in our adventure? Yeah, the game's really trying to throw you a bone here. On top of that, that incident with Team Plasma. I think this needs some investigation before things go bad. I hate cold weather, though. I'll give you this. It's a hidden machine that contains surf. With this, please go to different places and check what's going on. Let one of your Pokemon learn Surf, and you can travel across the water. And we received HM03 Surf. Very nice. Sorry to have slowed you down. Some strange things may be happening, so be careful on your journey. Yes, this is something we're going to have to keep in mind. Mysterious things are happening. Anyway, in here, some Pokemon change their appearance depending on the season, meaning just this one. Could that also be considered a type of evolution? you can see Deerling from all 4 seasons in our lab. This is an interesting reference to the original Black and White. In that game, there was a side quest where you had to show all 4 seasons of Deerling to the researchers in this lab. You didn't have to give them to them, but I find it's a really fun throwback to that little side quest in the original game. When it comes to Deerling, we're sort of the experts. However, we also came across a Porygon. It's a very special Porygon, in fact. Will you raise it for us? What do you say? Now, I'd say yes, but my party's full, so we're going to have to keep this in mind for probably next episode. This is what it says it is. This is a completely free Porygon. I'm not positive it might have its special ability, but we actually already own a Porygon, if my memory serves me correctly, so it's probably not super important for us to pick it up, but I will do so anyway. Anyway, even more trainers. Testing out one's theory is all a part of science. Now, even though we have Surf, I think I'm making an on-the-fly decision that we're going to finish the exploration of this route sans Surf for the time being, and the next episode is basically going to be a great big Surf episode where we go to a whole bunch of areas where we didn't have Surf at the time we first explored them, and we're going to be using Surf to explore. So that'll be fun. It'll be a bit of a nostalgia trip, because we actually have to go all the way back to Aspertia City to test out our newfound ability to surf, which is pretty interesting. I believe there's something quite enticing across that pond right by our house, which we're going to have to keep in mind. Anyway, right here, this Ditto actually had its hidden ability of Imposter, so it didn't even have to use Transform. I find it really interesting how they did that, because it basically renders Transform on Ditto as useless as Splash, which is kind of funny. Anyway, up next, oh my god, he's got a whole team of Dittos. Well, here's what we can do. Lucario is an interesting species because it knows a move that it itself is weak to. What Ditto does is it copies stats, moves, and all sorts of other things from your Pokemon, and one of those things is type. Which means this Ditto has now inherited the part type of Steel, which means Force Palm is going to be super effective. I mean, granted, it would have been super effective on a regular Ditto due to its type anyway, but I figured since it was going to change type automatically, we might as well exploit that fact. And I'm also noticing the Pokemon that I have equipped with the Experience Jar are getting quite a bit up there in level. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, these two are actually pretty low, so I'm going to take these items and move them down, since we want the others to level up at a relatively similar rate. Anyway, whip out our Dowsing Machine. This is not a trainer. Water Absorb and Dry Skin. Pokemon with those abilities love water-type moves and rainy weather. The gym leader in Aspertia City is very familiar with Pokemon abilities, isn't he? Oh, do you know him? Then you can ask him about abilities through the Cross Transceiver. Hey, guys, just so you know, this feature we talked about in, like, episode 8 of the series, here's a reminder, herp skirp dee derp. Alright, Moonstone, very nice. Head down here, we have yet another scientist to battle. A lot of trainers on this route. Kind of random place for there to be so many trainers, but alright. Alrighty, even more combat. Part of me thinks I might want to cut out fights, to be honest, but I feel like this is just the way I play Pokemon, is I go through every single fight in the entire game, and I feel like I'd prefer this series to be like my own experience with a Pokemon game, and this is how I do it. I do it very, very methodically. I do trainer by trainer, every single guy, and I try and find every item in an area. I try to leave no stone unturned. It's just my playstyle. Plus, if we're in a battle and we see a Pokemon we haven't seen before, I'd really like everyone to sort of have that experience, especially since I keep track of everything we've seen in the end slate to videos. Speaking of which, last episode we crossed to exactly 222 Pokemon caught. Now, another tangent. 222 reminded me of that one episode of Lilo and Stitch. I remember really enjoying the episode with experiment number 222 in it, way back when that show was airing. I feel like this episode, anyone who's watching it, is going to get a big early 2000s TV show nostalgia trip, because I'm just talking about them all. But yeah, Lilo and Stitch episodes were really fun to watch, but one thing that was weird is there were only about, I'd say, 60 episodes, but over 600 experiments that they could have gone off of. And I remember being as a kid being like, wait, why didn't they make an episode for every single one? Honestly, that was mainly a pipe dream of mine, because I know that's highly unrealistic for the Disney Channel to do. But I mean, a kid can dream, right? Don't tell me that no one else had the thought that they should have made an episode for every single one. Alrighty. What TV show are we going to talk about next? It's probably going to be Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, to be perfectly honest. Anyway. Free item right here, and let me guess, Audino? Yep. Honestly, I have run into so many of these danged things. Those 8 episodes of mass catching sessions that we did, like a few weeks ago now, I think, I ran into probably hundreds of Audino, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with myself. If we ever encounter a shiny Pokemon over the course of this series, I would not be surprised in the slightest if it wound up being Audino, because this is easily the Pokemon I am going to be encountering the most over the course of this series. Anyway, we have yet another Fungus here, and I'll be honest, I'm going to be encountering every single one of these just because I want to get that little Pokeball icon off the map. Okay, good, it does disappear if you run, because I'm really OCD like that. Anyway, we have yet another trainer right here. Route 6 is actually quite long, although I'd like to get through it all in one episode if at all possible. I don't think we're actually that far away from the end of the route, though, to be perfectly honest, so I think we're probably going to be okay. And of course, delay of game, foul, rar. Rar, that brings up something even funnier from my past. I guess this is a real life thing. About, wow, 6 years ago now, we did this big house remodel, and our builder had this big, burly, dopey dog that he brought over to run around in the backyard while he was working. The dog's name, I kid you not, was Rar. I can't get over that. That is the best name for a dog ever, although the thing was actually pretty quiet, if I remember correctly, although it did like to dig up the flower beds, which wasn't the greatest thing in the world. Alright, I can't believe it took us like 3 turns to take out a freaking Yanma, but I guess it's finally happened. Alright, what's up next? Tangela. Unfortunately, the one that's most qualified for this is probably going to go down within a turn, so we're going to be sending out Victini for this instead. Although I don't think Victini is necessarily less qualified to take it out, but I think Victini could use the experience a little bit less, just because of its overwhelmingly powerful stats. Anyway, down it goes, 1 hit, very nice. Gabite gets level 42, but Magneton does not. It probably got it earlier? No, it did not. I'll be honest with, I feel like I'm saying quote-unquote I'll be honest a lot. I'm suddenly very self-aware of what I am saying. But I feel like whenever I'm playing and recording at the same time, I get to be a bit unobservant of what's happening on screen. I'm pretty certain that there was this one time in the Liquid Crystal Let's Play where I used an ineffective move probably about 3 turns in a row before noticing that I had been doing it. Super embarrassing, but I guess that's just how things roll. I'm a big derp when it comes to that kind of thing. Anyway, all these encounters, we finally hit upon a new Pokemon that we have not seen yet. This is Carablast, and I am going to take a chance and attack it with hidden power here, and pray I don't knock it out. Cross your fingers? Oh yeah, I don't have to worry about a darn thing. I like encountering new Pokemon sort of bit by bit as we go. Kind of makes the series feel a bit more natural, and that looked like a critical hit, but it wasn't, thank goodness for that. So, even though we are going to be having lots of episodes where we just go and catch a whole ton of Pokemon all at once, it's nice to have these natural encounters going forward, and we get a critical capture, which is very nice. Considering that's based on Pokedex completion, that should get more and more common going forward. For some reason, they evolve when they receive electrical energy while they are attacking Shelmet. This is an interesting thing. Anyone who is considering training one of these for the hack might be worried about the fact that you have to trade a Carablast with a Shelmet in order to get it to evolve. That is not so in this hack. For Shelmet and Carablast in this hack, the evolutions now work exactly the same as Mantyke's does, because Mantyke has to have a Remoraid present in the party in order to evolve into Mantine. This is the only Pokemon that does this in the main series, but they actually added the ability for Shelmet and Carablast to do this in the hack. So to evolve Shelmet, you have to have a Carablast in the party upon level up. As far as I know, I don't think you can trick it out to get them both to evolve at once. I mean, I don't know, maybe it is. I don't know when it actually sets the evolution flag during the process, but evolving one might nullify the ability for the other to evolve in the same battle. I'm actually not sure about that. Someone should test it. Someone should actually test that with Remoraid, actually. So if you can get Remoraid to evolve first in a battle in which Mantyke leveled up, if Mantyke will still evolve. That could be a really fun science experiment. But yeah, that is actually how the evolution works in this hack. And that goes for both the vanilla and complete versions of the hack. All evolution changes are in the vanilla version of the hack, mainly to increase usability of Pokemon. However, any associated moveset changes to accommodate for this are only in the complete version of the hack. And we are playing the vanilla version of the hack, so that is not something we're going to be encountering in our playthrough. Which isn't too big of a deal, but I figured I might as well mention it because I haven't mentioned that fact, I don't think, since episode 1, so it's something we should be reminded of. And wow, this guy has quite a few Pokemon on him. Or is it a her? I think it's a her now that I think about it. And of course we've got Drizzle coming out. Politoed, as far as I'm aware, has been and remains to this day the textbook Drizzler. I believe that's its hidden ability. So basically what it would do is it would summon the weather of rain, and all the other Pokemon on the party would get buffed from the rain. I don't remember, but I think it was Generation 6 which nerfed weather abilities. It used to be that abilities like Drizzle would summon a never-ending rainstorm, but I believe it was in X and Y where all those abilities were nerfed to allow for only 5 turns of weather. Honestly though, that was probably a good thing. But anyway, right here, That Pokémon. It's the legendary Pokémon called Cobalion. I told you this story the other day, right? Oh, Cobalion, what a noble presence! They say the three Pokémon Cobalion, Virizion, and Terrakion, or Terrakion I think is how they pronounced it in the anime, fought against people to protect Pokémon from the war those people started. When people fight, there's no peace for Pokémon either. The three legends learned that the deeds of humans could lead to dire consequences for their world. But why did it show up in front of people? Is it patrolling the Unova region to protect Pokémon because it fears for their safety after the commotion caused by Team Plasma 2 years ago? Wow, run-on sentence game. Or does it sense a new problem? Unforgivable. So the reach of Ghetsis' ambition and malice is growing ever wider and warping the lives of all it touches. Did Cobalion appear in front of you merely by accident, or to plead with you to solve a problem? Unlike Lord N, I don't have the ability to understand the minds of Pokémon. Therefore, I don't know what that Pokémon is thinking. But if you can befriend Cobalion, it will be a great asset to you on your journey. That is something to keep in mind for the future, as you might expect. Chargestone Cave is great. The Ferocity I met here were absolutely adorable. Chargestone Cave is the next major dungeon we are going to be entering that is story required, but we're not going to be going there next episode. Anyway, in here, free heal spot, which means you don't have to run back to Driftveil City, which is very, very helpful. Anyhow, I think we fought all the trainers on this route. Am I correct about this? Also, what is this pointing at? Oh wow, there's actually a hidden item right here. That is surprising. They don't usually put them in grass. And, of course, wild Pokemon. Here we have Marill, which we don't have yet. I am legitimately surprised we don't have a Marill yet. Anyway, let's Hidden Power it just to weaken it a little bit. Yeah, Hidden Power is a really nice move to fall back on for attacking, because Hidden Power's power is not actually that high. I believe prior to X and Y, Hidden Power can have a random base power between 50 and 70, or thereabouts. I believe in X and Y it was changed to a flat 60. I have no idea why, because even though they made some modifications to Hidden Power, it still cannot, under any circumstance, be the Fairy type. Which seems very strange. In this game, it can be any type except, ironically, normal, the type it is listed as. But in X and Y, it also can't be Fairy type, which means the devs probably got lazy. The oil-filled tail functions as a buoy, so it's fine even in rivers with strong currents. Very nice. That is the second Pokemon we've caught this episode, which is awesome. Anyway, heading up here. Oh wow, there's actually an outer part of Chargestone Cave. I forgot about that. That's really random. It's only this little slice. That's all it is, because as soon as you get in the grass, it's Route 6 again, which seems very random. But anyway, heading through this doubles grass here, we have Sudowoodo, which is another Pokemon that we don't have. I'm pretty sure this is probably one of the first instances where you can encounter Sudowoodo in the wild. Actually, no, what am I saying? You can't actually encounter Sudowoodo in the wild in this game normally, so I suppose that doesn't even count. But anyway, Sudowoodo is an odd Pokemon because in Generations 2 and 3, it was one of those one-off encounter Pokemon like how Volcarona was last episode. I don't think in Generation 4 you could encounter Sudowoodo in the wild normally. In fact, I think the first time that happened was in X and Y, which is super random, but oh well, I guess we're just gonna have to deal with that. Sudowoodo is one of those Pokemon that's really just not good at all, but the developers liked to make it incredibly rare. Even in X and Y, it is incredibly difficult to find through a wild encounter because it only appears in hordes with other Pokemon, and even then it doesn't appear that often. Really, really bizarre. Anyway, assuming this doesn't catch it, I am going to jump cut to when we do, just to prevent the episode from getting too terribly long. There we go, Sudowoodo was caught. I believe that was the third ball I threw, which isn't terrible, to be honest. And since I believe we already have Bonsly, I think this completes this evolution line, which is awesome. To avoid being attacked, it does nothing but mimic a tree. It hates water and flees from rain. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think Sudowoodo looks like a tree at all. Like, I just don't see it. Although I do absolutely love the pun in that thing's name. I mean, think about it. Sudowoodo. Pseudo as in not real, and Woodo as in wood, as in tree. Like, that's perfect. That's amazing. Whoever came up with that should get a medal. Anyway, we finally have the appearance of a Larvesta. Grumble, grumble, Relic Castle, 4% encounter rate, my butt, grumble, grumble. So yes, we finally get to actually see what this thing looks like, my word. And now it's gone, and we're probably not going to see another one for quite a while. And now we actually have up already Escavalier, which I believe is the evolution of Carablast? I don't know, these Pokemon I always get confused with. Yeah, this is the evolution of Carablast. Escavalier and Excelgor are the evolutions of those two Pokemon, and I always get them just confused. Probably because upon evolution, each one actually inherits physical traits of the other one. Very strange setup for evolution, if I do say so myself. Although definitely interesting. But anyway, with the defeat of this trainer, this is actually the last trainer on the route, so... Oh wow, this is actually a Pokemon we don't have yet, Deerling. I've already explained the mechanics around Deerling, but anyway, I believe that was the last trainer we can actually fight on this route without using Surf, and I would like to dedicate next episode to pretty much a big Surf exploration video. And also, I believe, I don't remember exactly when I started the recording for this episode, but I feel like it's gotten quite a bit longer than I intended it to be. And I do apologize for that. I don't really like making long episodes, but I feel like chaining together multiple episodes of just battling trainers on Route 6 wouldn't be too terribly fun. So I think it's best if we just crank it all out this episode, and that's what we did. Anyway, let's see if we can catch this Deerling. Darn it. Ah well, jump cut. That's not terrible. Very next ball, we caught it. Very nice. Slowly but steadily, we are making progress on that Pokédex. Their coloring changes according to the seasons and can be slightly affected by the temperature and humidity as well. The former, a game mechanic. The latter, not so. And I just noticed we're on box 8. How long have we been doing that? I don't even know. But anyway, I'm going to head right up over here to the entrance to Chargestone Cave, even though I've already stated we're not going to be doing this next episode. Just because it very much so signifies the fact that this past episode on Pokemon Blaze Black 2, we explored the entirety of Route 6. Discounting of course what we could explore with Surf, which we are going to be doing next time. So without further ado, thank you all for watching, and redundancy, I will see you guys next time.